Hi, I'm Lily Tran. I'm an enrolled agent and the founder of TaxiSign. Today's live education is on Xero. So we have two guests here who is going to go over the fundamentals of Xero and some tips and tricks.
Awesome.
To
Thanks,
start
Lily.
first. And then it'll be 30 minutes of education and then 10 minutes of Q&A. All right, let's get started.
Thank you, Lily. Yeah, so my name is Andre Hale. I'm the senior account manager for the greater Seattle area. So I work with a lot of the accounting firms within Seattle and in Washington State. And we're lucky enough to partner with Lily and Tax Science today just to talk more about Xero and the platform and also introduce that to anyone that's checking it out today. I've also got with me my colleague Tam. I'll let Tam do a little intro as well.
Thanks, Andre. Yeah, my name is Tam Nguyen. Live in the Seattle area in Olympia, so we are local. I used to have I used to work in accounting as a property accountant, but now I work for Xero as a basically a software implementation specialist. So yeah, I do some demos, I convert clients over to Xero, kind of those things. But pass back to you, Andre.
Perfect, thanks. So to kick off, I just wanted to share my screen with you and give you a little introduction on Xero, just to give some context about what Xero is, what we do, and how we differentiate ourselves within the market. So I just want to check with Lily, Tim, you guys can see my screen correct? All
Yes.
right, perfect. So Xero, it's a cloud accounting platform that was developed in New Zealand and Australia and entered the North American market back in 2013. So we've developed our North American product to service our customers out here. And really, the nickname Beautiful Accounting Software really comes from, the design and UI and UX of Xero. Everything that was created within Xero was done with the thought of working with both the small business and the accountant. And we really designed our platform to make sense with, working with both parties and making sure that experience between the two um, is beautiful, honestly. So with that, we've got several components that we like to kind of break Xero into. The first being that core Xero product, where as a business owner on Xero, you'll see the functionality of Xero, first seeing the dashboard, and then looking into different functionalities like reports and other things like that. The way Xero is set up, it's set up in a way that basically allows both yourself and other individuals like your advisor, your accountants, to get access to Xero to share that single ledger. So you're not transferring data, sharing USBs, trying to transfer and hand in different paper documents. You're all working within Xero, within one shared platform where you both can have eyes on what's happening on the financial side of your business. Layering out from there, we've obviously got different apps and features within Xero. One of them actually is HubDoc, which is an acquired Xero product that allows you to digitally manage your documents and keep better track of that, essentially as a digital filing cabinet and audit proofing your books. And then taking that step out from there, we've got the different apps that integrate into Xero. So Xero's philosophy is really doing the best we can in providing a great accounting platform experience and then integrating with other companies and other apps that service their industry to the best of their ability. So you're really getting the best in class suite of different apps where you can plug and play the things that work for your business, and you're not basically restricted or cornered into using a particular kind of platform or function just because that is provided. You have the ability to choose what makes sense for you. So as a whole, Xero has over 2 million subscribers globally. We've obviously grown from humble beginnings, starting out in a bedroom out in New Zealand to basically leading global cloud accounting technology across the world, servicing over 180 countries, working with millions of subscribers and thousands of accountants. We really want to be the leading technology in the cloud accounting space. And obviously, we do this, and we've been able to do this because of all the functions and the features and the value that Xero provides to the business owners and then also the accountants. We really want to make sure that because it is a cloud account experience, it still is a secure experience. We know that is a concern for people. So we want to make sure that that's at the forefront of everything. But then also everything is done in a way that really makes sense in the way that you use and interact with the platform. So with that being said, and that intro over, I want to hand it back over to Tam to show you around the Xero product, the platform, and a couple of ways of how you can get started with Xero and some of the things that you might be doing from the beginning stages.
Cool. Thanks for that intro, Andre. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hop over here, and we're going to take a look at kind of the small business side here, what a client would see when you invite them into your firm or your practice first. So I'm actually here sitting in my Xero HQ. So this is the firm side. So you as a firm owner would see all of your clients that you're servicing, and you'd be able to access other features as well to manage a firm. But today I'm going to go ahead and just add a client, walk you through this process so that to show you how easy it is to just create a new client. You want to set a business structure here, whether that's, you know, corporation, individual, LLC, and so on and so forth. And then create a name. Top Pot Donuts, and email and phone are optional for now. You can always go back and fill in this information later. It just essentially creates a contact card in your HQ for your own use. So I go ahead and create that. So here's that contact. Next thing I'll want to do is create a Xero organization. So at this point, you're not actually paying for a Xero subscription just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. It'll take me through a kind of setup wizard where it'll pull in the client name I just entered. You want to make sure that your time zone settings are correct. So with a lot of the fields in Xero, you can type in the name of that field and it'll auto-populate, so you don't have to scroll down a long list. And then the organization. What does the organization do? So this one is retail, and that'll pop up. And I'm not going to worry too much about this. Let's see, fast food. I'm just going to go ahead and choose fast food right now. And then the chart of accounts. So here you're able to select either the default chart of accounts that Xero has provided. There's also other ones that Xero has created as well. And there's also an option, if you have a standardized chart of accounts, you can upload it into your Xero HQ, where all of your staff members can access the one single standardized chart of accounts. So quick way to really just standardize your processes. But I'm going to choose that LLC copy. And then I'm going to start a trial. You can also buy now. So let me just take you through that process and show you the different subscriptions that you're able to choose from. And then we can just go ahead and start a trial because I'm not trying to pay for that today. But here's essentially the plans that you have offered. So I'll show you both the small business, the plans that the small business owners have access to, and then the plans that only you as the advisor have access to. So what we're looking at here are the regular plans. So any small business owner can hop onto Xero.com and purchase any one of these subscriptions. The benefit of doing this through an accounting partner like yourself is that you also get an added discount. So the more clients you have on Xero, the higher your tier or status on the partner program that we have here, and the more discounts that you get or your clients get. So it's up to you whether you want to pass on that those savings or if you want to keep that as a margin for yourself. But three main plans here. We have the early plan, growing plan, and established plan. Pretty simple here. There's a limit on number of invoices and bills with the early plan. It's only at $11 a month starting out. We find that a lot of the companies that are on Xero do fall within the growing plan if you need unlimited invoices and bills. But as you can see across all of these plans, you know, we acquired HubDoc a couple of years ago, and now HubDoc is also being offered complimentary with any one of these plans here. So if you have any more questions about what type of clients will fit into either any one of these plans, you know, please always reach out to Andre or myself, and we can give you more information about that. And then just a quick nod to the partner only plan. So these are ones that are only available if you're the one managing the subscription. And that's the ledger and the cash book. Very, very competitive prices, $3 a month for ledgers, $7 a month for cash books. And the key with the cash book, where I find most partners are using this, is because there's the automated bank feed. You're able to connect to bank feed, have those transactions come in, you're dealing with live information, and you're also able to reconcile transactions throughout the year rather than doing what a lot of tax accountants do at the end of the year, or some firms do at the end of the year, is do all the write-up work all at once during this busy season, and everyone's stressed out, and it's not a good situation for anybody. So Cashbook, definitely use the bank feeds. The ledger, that's really ideal for those write-up clients at the end of the year. They bring you a bunch of statements, you import all of them into Xero, and then you're able to use something that we call cash coding to quickly reconcile in bulk those transactions. So we may or may not go over that today. If we have time, I would love to show that. But I am going to close out of this. And so what's going to happen is let me go back to, it's going to automatically create a trial for me. You can see I've created a lot of trials, and you're able to do the same as well if you'd like to test out a brand new clean slate and start importing stuff in there. You also have access to a demo company, which already has some pre-populated data in there. You can mess around, create invoices. If you can even connect it to other third-party apps and see how the data flows from the app into Xero. These demo companies can be reset at any time by yourself, or will automatically reset after 30 days. So what I'm looking at right now, and this is actually what your small business clients would see when they first log into Xero. Hopefully some of this stuff has already been set up. But it takes you through this kind of setup process. First you want to connect your bank accounts, then you want to, create your invoices, all that. I'm just going to close out of here. And I think one of the key differences here is Andre talked about the UI and the UX. So the design interface being simple, easy to understand, not overwhelming. That's one of the key differences just between the interface. You can immediately see it's pretty clean. But if I come down here, there's client-facing language like invoices owed to you. There's a quick descriptor of what that actually means, and bills to pay, rather than AR, accounts receivable, or accounts payable, because anyone who doesn't have an accounting background might have an issue, understanding what those mean, and maybe overwhelmed by the language that's included in the accounting software. So just something there. Every one of these dashboards are customizable. So you can hide or show tiles that are important to you. So for example, if your client didn't care to see their total cash flow, they could hide this. It's of course something that they're gonna want to see, but they have the ability to edit their own dashboard. And same for you. You can do the same as the advisor. So main setup things. First things first is if you go to the top left-hand corner, this is your navigational menu. So we also have Xero Files, which is essentially just a document storage solution sitting within the client file. So this is a place where you could potentially put some information and documents for the client there. But I want to go over to settings and show you a couple of different things that you want to get set up before you do anything else. Organizational details. Another thing you can do is you can right click on any of the links in Xero, open it up in a new tab, and duplicate that instance of Xero. So you're not having to maneuver back and forth and refresh pages. I want to be able to go back to the settings after I update this. So coming down below, organizational details, I can upload the Top Pot Donuts logo here, which will show up on the invoices. You can see other information here as well, such as EIN number, business number, contact details, etc. So pretty standard stuff here, but you want to have this figured out. And then, so after you've saved those settings, I'm going to go back to this other area here as well. So other settings, I kind of want to call out payment services. How do you get paid faster? You can go into payment services and set up, credit cards, accept credit cards or ACH transactions by connecting Stripe. That's one of our preferred partners. We also have PayPal, Go Cardless for ACH, and there's other payment services as well. So if you're or your client are using already a payment service provider or payment processor, as long as there's a custom payment URL, if they're not one of these other ones, you can accept payments through invoices. So I don't believe I'll be creating an invoice today, but basically what that looks like is you create an invoice. There's a button on there that allows your clients to pay. They just click it, it'll take them to the payment portal where they enter the information and they can pay the invoice. So that's really helpful in collecting and not having a long AR cycle. So that is invoice settings. Another really nice feature also if I go over to invoice settings, the invoice reminders. So how many times have you had to go out and send a client reminders to pay on late invoices? And these are things that nobody likes. Nobody likes to do that. If you forget to do it in any given month or week, then you have unpaid or owed money to you, and you're not able to utilize that money to invest in other areas of your business. So invoice reminders are a less awkward way to tell those overdue clients that they have money that they owe you. So if I click into invoice reminders, I'm gonna go ahead and check this to turn this feature on, but it'll email customers when an invoice is a certain number of days overdue. And this is customizable. So 7 days overdue, 14 days overdue, 21 days overdue. You can add, I think, up to 5 total reminders. But what you can do is you can get more aggressive with the messaging as time goes by. So if I click on the 7 days overdue, a couple different options here. These are placeholders, so it'll auto-populate with your contacts information, so you don't have to create that yourself. But you can create the wording here so it sounds like you, and then these will automatically go out when the invoice is overdue. So it's a pretty cool feature. Really like that. And so another thing here too, I'm going to go back to the dashboard real quickly. I mentioned the simple interface before. So what's really nice is it breaks out. So you have the dashboard tab. You also have the business tab and accounting tab separate from one another. So as a standard user, there's different user role types. Actually, maybe I should go into that first. So let me go back into the settings here and into users. So once you've set up the books, and then you're ready, you're ready to invite in your client, or your client has set up the books and they're ready to invite in you as the advisor, this is where you would do it. So under the navigational menus, settings, and then users. And over here, you can invite a user. And all you need is first name, last name, and an email address in order to invite somebody in. But there's multiple different roles you can give. So projects is part of our established plan. Won't really go into that today, but business and accounting is what we're looking at. There's different user roles in here: invoice only, standard, advisor, and read only. So in the standard one, that might be something that you'd be giving your clients. If they're not really in the books that often, you don't want them to have access to be able to change banking information and that kind of stuff. But you have additional kind of permissions down below, whether or not you want to allow them to invite other users. But yeah, you want to go through and select the one that's appropriate for each user, invite them in. And then let's go back to the dashboard again. So I was talking about these tabs. So based on the user role that you've given a client, they may not even see the accounting role, but if for some reason you gave them the advisor role anyway, because they want to have full control over everything, they're going to know, your client's going to know, maybe I shouldn't be messing around in the accounting tab because that's stuff that my accountant should be doing. I know with other software, it's kind of all intermingled. And so it's easy to kind of go into something and easily make a mistake that your accountant now has to fix later. So they're separated. I really like that. Invoices, bills, expenses, inventory, checks for the business side. There's also these two other features here: short-term cash flow and business snapshot. Let's just go into that real quickly. So these are basically just, we have a simple cash flow forecasting feature that will only project the next 7 or 30 days. So this is very short term. And wait, this particular account doesn't have any bank accounts. So let me pop over to the demo company. So the demo company, again, everyone has access to a demo. Anybody who has a partner profile, so you as the advisor or as the accountant, has access to the demo company, as well as all of your staff members. So in here, I have pre-populated data. Now, if I were to hop back into that short-term cash flow, it's based off of the invoicing and billing module, by the way. So it's gonna pull in data from your open invoices and bills. But here, I'm gonna include this bank account. It's negative, so that's not great, but let's go and show a projection. And so it pulls in all the invoices and bills. So it's really important to keep the due dates up to date so that it will reflect here on this graph. So you know how much money you have in the bank account at any given time, and you can start to plan for that. So that's in there. It's also, it looks like here, this is my first time seeing this actually. This is the first iteration of it, by the way, the one that I just showed you. I know that our team was working on an improved version, so it looks like that's going to be coming as well. The other kind of dashboard that we have is the business snapshot. So this might be something that you're used to seeing with other software as well, but you can easily see a visual indicator of how the business is doing. So whether that's profit or loss, the income and expenses, and again, this is, I think, pulling from those invoice due dates and things like that, and anticipating those payments. And then down below, you have a breakdown of the accounts or largest operating expenses here. So you keep track of that, where your money's going. So just some great information here, all on one page that you can use to have that conversation with your client. So those are kind of just some of the key pieces as far as doing some of the reconciliation work. So dashboard, I'm gonna go back to the dashboard. And here I have a checking account attached to this demo company. So I am going to click on reconcile. You can see that I have 29 items that I need to reconcile. So I'm going to click into that, and this, I'm going to hide this tip right here up top. So when you're new to Xero, you're going to see kind of these little tool tips. You have videos that you can watch that will show you how you can utilize the screen, as well as, you know, a written, very detailed article that you can do further reading about. But basically, you have your balance in Xero, your statement balance. And then on the left-hand side, if you've connected your bank feed, these transactions are automatically pulling in from the bank on a daily basis at the very minimum. With our direct feeds that we actually have contracts out with these banks, they'll come in even more often. So could be several hours, hourly even, but they come in pretty immediately. And on the right-hand side, what you're looking at is essentially the general ledger, or where you have the ability to code these transactions to the correct account code. So what you're looking at is there's a hierarchy in how Xero decides to reconcile transactions or help you reconcile transactions. First being this auto match. If transaction turns green, it means that Xero has matched up this transaction, this invoice that you have created already that's open. And then you've, in this example, this is actually a bill. So this is a bill that you've created. You have a payment to Trucks and Property Management, if you pay on a monthly basis, probably. And when the money leaves the bank account, it'll match against that bill. So all you have to do is come in and click the OK button, and it's reconciled the payment against the bill. Same thing here. Here's an invoice. You've invoiced Ridgeway University. This is one of your clients. And it matches the amount, the dates, invoice number, and all you have to do is review and click OK. Second thing Xero will look at are bank rules. So bank rules are essentially like if-then statements in Excel is the kind of example I like to use. So you're basically telling this program, hey, if certain conditions are met, say if this transaction is 7-11, then I want you to apply this rule. It's called 7-11. And let's just go ahead and take a look at that right now. So I'm going to open this up in a new tab. This is how you can really start to speed up your reconciliation process, because you love 7-Eleven and you eat there every day. I don't recommend it, but what you can start to do is build these rules, because a lot of the transactions that either you or your client has are going to be recurring transactions for the rent, insurance payments, licenses and things like that. You can say, hey, if Xero, you find a payee that contains the word 11, I want you to code it with this particular description to office expenses, and 100% of it needs to go there. You can split transactions if you'd like, as long as they total 100%, then it should work just fine. I want this rule to run on all bank accounts. And then really what you want to do here, best practice, is make sure that you've also included the account code here in the title name, so that you can tell exactly where those items are being coded from the reconciliation screen. So just like I did before with auto match, I'm going to come back down here to the 7-Eleven transaction. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to get reconciled. The other thing that Xero will do is suggest previous entries as well. So it'll remember if you've manually coded a transaction in the past. Ridgeway Bank is one of those transactions. It's a banking fee for $15. You coded it bank service charges in the past, and so it's suggesting it here. So all you have to do again is review, click OK, and then it's reconciled. So this is more for the accountants or maybe those clients that are would benefit from utilizing cash coding. So you saw that on this screen, we're able to reconcile each one of these transactions kind of one by one. In the cash coding screen, you can, however, bulk reconcile transactions. So be careful on how you use this tool because you can accidentally code a lot of transactions to the wrong place. So cash coding, I'm going to filter by any one of these columns. If you have a lot of data in your description column, maybe you're going to filter by that. But I have the payee column here all filled out. So I'm going to filter by payee. And what that is going to allow me to do is determine areas where I can create more bank rules. So I have a lot of central city parking. I can create a bank rule for that so that next time this transaction comes through, I don't have to code it again. But what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to select all of these transactions here. So click the first one, hold shift, click this last one. I'm also going to select the Parkside kiosk transactions. So these are also parking fees. And it doesn't matter which line item I click on here, but I can go ahead and say parking fee and tab over. And when I tab over, it's going to autofill the rest of those transactions for me. And I think the accounting code is automobile expenses. So again, that's going to populate when I type in just the first part of the word. And once again, tab over, and that's going to automatically fill for the rest of this. So tax rate is going to be, I'm just going to leave that as tax exempt for now, because you do have to assign a tax rate to every one of these transactions. And looks good to me. Tip here is you want to uncheck all your transactions before you save and reconcile, because if you coded, if you have certain transactions selected, only those ones will save if you click the save and reconcile. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out real quickly was the 7-Eleven bank rule that we saw earlier. That also applies here on this screen, and that's why it's so important that you create as many bank rules as possible. Spend the time, create those bank rules, and it's going to be so much more helpful for you in the long run. So I'm going to click save and reconcile, and just like that, all my transactions that I had coded are now reconciled against the GL. So as you can imagine that we only did 8 transactions, but if you have a client that comes in at the end of the year and you've got hundreds or thousands of transactions to code, this is going to be a massive time saver. So, let's say once you've reconciled your transactions, the next step would be to take a look at reports. So, I mean, as an accountant, you're going to be doing some review and making sure that things tie out. But as a client or small business owner hopping into Xero, you really don't care about that much. But if you have the published reports, so let me go into accounting and reports. And I don't actually have any published reports in here. So let me go ahead and publish one real quickly, just so we can go through that. And hey, Lily, I don't know if this would be a good question. Would you like to see the report editor?
Sure.
Okay.
The platform has changed since I last been in it with you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I think it's a pretty powerful feature because the chart of accounts is, it's a flat structure. You're not able to have sub accounts in the chart of accounts. And the reason why is because you edit those groupings or create those groupings at the report level. So if I'm coming down here, we're looking at a pretty simple profit and loss statement. You got your income, your cost of goods sold, your expenses, and your accounts are organized alphabetically, which you can change and add accounts and then order it that way as well. But you notice that these are all hyperlinked. So if you click into any one of these numbers, you're going to be able to see the GL detail behind these numbers as well. But I'm going to click edit layout. So this is probably something that the advisor or the accountant is going to be doing on the back end. So you have the ability to create columns or text blocks, formulas. So let me show you what that might look like. A text box might just show up here on the end, so you can kind of reference certain things up here and then leave a note down below that your client would read. Schedules, I'm not going to show you right now. Footers is kind of almost the same thing as a text box. What I really like is let me do the column first, actually. So if I add a column with a date, let's say I wanted to compare 2021 to 2020, I can do that by just changing the date right here. I can change the name of the column as well if that's something that I'd like to do. You can also add, there's a budgeting feature available in Xero as well. So 2021 overall budget. You can also add formulas as well. So I talked about formulas. So I'm easily able to drop and drag columns wherever I'd like them to be. And you can do the same thing for these accounts as well. But in this formula, it's going to ask me, what parameters I want to use. So I'm going to take 2021 and subtract 2021 budget. And that's just going to be a simple variance. What's the difference between the two? So I'm typing that name there. It's going to pop up over here. So you really do have some power in creating these reports. The other thing you could do too is, I find to be pretty cool, is create a formula as a row as well. So here I might want to, take my net income and multiply it by 15%. And this will be my self-employed tax. So you can help your clients to start estimating what their tax liability is going to be, so that they put the money aside and they don't spend all of it before the end of the year. Because then you become the bad person, right? You then have this big tax bill that client has to pay, and you have to deliver that news. So it's never a good thing. So it's one way to utilize the rows. The other thing is, I mentioned the groups. So let me go ahead and show you that real quickly. Now, let's say I'm going to pull together, I'm just holding control here. So there's a few different accounts here that I'm just selecting some random ones. They have no relation to one another, but I'm going to group the selection. And so this could be my payroll expenses group. And if I click out, I now have the group here at the reporting level. I have a subtotal for total payroll expenses and all the detail in between. Now I can also close this so that I only see that one line item, but it's really up to you. If I click done, last thing I want to do is have to customize this report again the next time I come back into this client. So here's kind of what that looks like. Here's that grouping that we had created. You just want to save this as a custom report, so that the next time you're in here, custom, you don't have to redo this again. Now you can also make the custom report default as well. So that means that anyone, even a different user in this particular organization, clicks into the income statement, they're going to see this new view that you just created. So that's what the little checkbox is. Now, what I'm also going to do is publish this. So best practice, if you can, at the end of the month, after you've reviewed all the financials and you're ready to create a hard copy, essentially, I recommend publishing it, because it's good for you for reference as well. In case anything goes wrong, you forget to set the lock dates, someone goes in there and changes something, and you're like, oh my God, what happened? What changed? You now have a published copy to be able to refer back to and say, oh, okay, I know what changed. So I'm just going to come down and skip all this content. You can move some of the content or change the title of the report. But basically, once you've published that report, it'll show up under the accounting tab under published. And this is something that you have obviously to reference. So let me go ahead and click this and open it up in a new tab. But also, it's something that you can also direct your clients to. So for those kind of like more tech savvy clients, they can hop in here and you see this published report, not be able to change anything, but click right into the detail and say, oh, I want to see what made up my sales number this month or this year, and so on and so forth. So there's really a lot of flexibility and power, and also increases the level of collaboration and also just alignment overall on how this client is doing. So Lily, I don't know if you had any questions so far. I went over a lot just now, so I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to go more into depth on.
That's great. That was very helpful, very useful information. I think we're going to end it here unless Junia has some questions. What I'm going to do is give her access to Xero so she can start playing around in the demo.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And get her certified too.
What's that?
Get her certified here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And then of course, Andre and I are always here to help support as well.